Hey, greetings. Welcome, everyone. It is GleeCon, and I'm back. Pumped, stoked, excited to be with you here again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft. On our last episode, we continued to get near the end of the Ashenvale zone from an alliance perspective with our Night Elf Druid. She killed some Furbolgs and took on the guise of a Furbolg, and also did a couple other things. Got ready to kill some satyrs. We have a little bit more to go in that region. Hopefully we can wrap it up in the next one episode, but most likely two, because I think these last kind of finale packs of episodes as we get near the end are going to be dense. We've also been reading through the World of Warcraft magazine, an official magazine released right around the time in the year before Cataclysm came out, and it is... it's something to see. It's been pretty cool. Last time we read about some of the PvP, we talked a lot about achievements. So stay a while and listen as we continue with that magazine. You cannot find this anywhere else. So there's a couple really good, higher quality breakdowns out there of it in the world. But if you want to see a page for page slow crawl through it, you're in the right place, because this is about it. You can't. There's not even a PDF of it uploaded out there, although I do have some PDFs and I might at some point upload it now that I have been scanning them in on my own. So we're going to pick up with an article. It's a community article. That's one of the things I do. It's called From Out of Nowhere, Meeting the Champ. So that looks to be, I'm not sure, this maybe is a Death Knight. Kind of hard to tell. It could be a warrior. It could be paladin. It's obviously a male-wearing, shield-clad person. Not too shabby. For second place, 10 grand. Zelia, the Holy Paladin on TSG's 3v3 Arena team, healed his team to a second-place finish at the North American Regionals this year in Germany, which qualified them for the 2009 BlizzCon 3v3 Arena tournament, and there they placed first. So, I mean, I guess that's cool. You got a giant $6,000 World of Warcraft check, although, I mean, that's cool, but I think esports is in a lot better place now. Fabian Siffredi went from zero to hero overnight and made 25k in the process. Meet the arena tournament's top Healadin. You probably know this much already. Ever since the Burning Crusade, World of Warcraft's first expansion introduced PvP arenas in 2007, Blizzard's seasonal arena tournaments have become the destination for a lot of teams, all vying for titles, sweet loot, and ultimately a hopeful berth in the global finals at BlizzCon. This year, the three-person multinational US and Canadian cadre known as TSG swept the 3v3 bracket in Anaheim, claiming victory and a $75,000 team purse in the process. What you probably don't know is that Zelia, the Holy Paladin throwing down massive heals for TSG, only recently joined the team after receiving a private message following a public session. That one message would transform Zelia, aka Fabian Marcello Siffredi, from arena regular to global champ. I was just a paladin on a random realm. I never in my wildest dreams expected us to get as far as we did. Just this guy, you know. You wouldn't recognize Zelia on the street. His rap sheet reads a lot like a World of Warcraft player's would. As a student and blogger, Siffredi is a fairly normal 21-year-old dude. Right now, I'm going to college at Cal State University Fullerton and plan on getting my bachelor's degree in political science by the end of the year, he says. After that, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do, as I'm kind of just bumbling around with my life. In the meantime, he just happens to rule at team-based PvP. He prefers arena to battlegrounds because he finds the latter to be a grind where most of the people around you have blue gear, and in the ongoing war between the factions, he would roll Horde over Alliance any day. But if you disagree, know that you'll need some serious skills to try to change his mind. Right realm, right time. Some people dream of joining a championship team, World of Warcraft or otherwise, and dedicate their lives to reaching their goal. Zelia's path was a little different. I was just a paladin on a random realm, he explains. I never participated in any tournaments or anything at the time. Instead, one of the top teams came to him. TSG have been around for a long time, with the two main people being the team's warrior and death knight Veeks, Bennett Lynch, and Valrath, David Kovacs. TSG, or Tesupa Gosas, the term Gosu comes from the StarCraft lexicon meaning really good player. handpicked Zilia, which meant a lot considering the team's killer rep on Kill Jaden US. Here's a picture of him, I guess, versus a wolf. That said, TSG needed an experienced healer if they wanted to have any hope of placing in the 2009 US online qualifiers. Enter Zilia. I was fully expecting it to just be a for fun thing that never went anywhere, but after 6 weeks we managed to be in first place. A seasoned arena player in his own right, as well as an active member of the arena community, Siffredi had made a name for himself as a great healer. I played a lot with a bunch of friends, he says. Every season I had been top 5 in pretty much every bracket. So I guess that was an accomplishment too. Zilia had even faced off against Veeks in Season 4, so they were hardly strangers. Siffredi admits he had a detached amusement about joining TSG at first, but that quickly changed as the team began racking up big wins. I was fully expecting it to be a just-for-fun thing that never went anywhere, but after 6 weeks, we managed to be in first place. We were flown out to Germany for the North American Regionals, and we placed second, which granted us the trip to the Global Finals at BlizzCon, as only the top 2 teams from each regional got invited. But I never in my wildest dreams expected us to get as far as we did. The missing Warlock. For the uninitiated, assembling the right composition or comp of character classes is an important part of successful ranked PvP arena play. By the time the more competitive players start thinking about making a run for the title, most have a good idea of the comp they'll play. For the online qualifiers, we ran Paladin, Warlock, and Death Knight, because at the time, Warlocks and Death Knights were both very powerful, Zilia explains. As soon as the content update hit on the last week of the online qualifiers, Death Knights and Warlocks were changed pretty dramatically, so we started to feel we needed to change comps or we would not have a shot to win. We gave Paladin, Death Knight, and Warrior a chance, and we were amazed at how good it was. Once Zilia joined the team, TSG spent weeks practicing, which was no trivial feat considering that the 3 players reside in different countries. In fact, the team has only met twice in person to date, for the 2009 North American Regionals and BlizzCon itself for the Global Finals. Thankfully, World of Warcraft happens to be designed to connect players across the globe, which meant lots of long nights of voice chat, strategy talks, and practice matches. Whenever we thought we could all be on at a certain time was when we played, explains Zilia. And what did that training entail? Some of the same core rudiments that a lot of teams consider when building their strategies. Generally, the first thing we consider, first thing to always consider is which target we should focus on, where there is the least amount of pressure against us, he reveals. And it isn't always about training one target from start to finish. Swaps have to be made, cooldowns need to be used at the right times, etc. Here's a data chart, which is right up my alley. Look, you can see them kind of fighting someone that maybe a druid, that's some treant, some wolves. We know you like to watch. Zilia and TSG took the prize at BlizzCon 2009, but with the team's future uncertain, who will battle to the top 4 Season 7? Arena teams are battling it out right now on every realm, and you can follow their weekly progress at the World of Warcraft Armory, www.wowarmory.com for North America or eu.wowarmory.com for Europe. Select your battle group at the main menu to track the teams on your realm and dive into their statistics for each match. Great for following rivalries and analyzing future opponents. And even if you're not registered for the arena tournament, you can still read the dedicated arena tournament forum at www.worldofwarcraft.com to follow the competitors and watch the drama unfold here. I guess this is something from WoW Armory that's, I don't even know what that's exactly showing. It's showing a particular battle group, and maybe that's wins, maybe that's time online or damage, but some stats for a very specific team. Number 1 and done. Despite winning a combined $81,000 in the team's victory at this year's finals, don't expect to see another appearance from Tesupa Gosis anytime soon, at least not with the same lineup. However, even if his team is going through a period of uncertain transition, don't think BlizzCon 2009 was the last you'll see of Zilia. I'm still playing, he says. We may pick up a new warrior since Veeks wants to take a break. Right now I'm playing with Hudrick as a paladin and warrior team in the 2v2 bracket. In the 3v3 bracket, I'm playing with a different warrior called Handbag and a shaman named Survey. Truthfully, TSG is still up in the air. If TSG really is on the prowl for a warrior, that somehow seems apropos. Not only does it mean the possible beginning of yet another meteoric rise for some lucky and capable player, it means Zilia has crossed over from new guy to veteran team member. He doesn't focus on that sort of thing, though, instead keeping his mind on the road ahead. Since the finals, I've talked to Valrath a lot about going to the next tournament in November, which is held by Major League Gaming. He says, if and when we get a third player, you may see us in the tournament scene again. Yeah, that's too much pressure for me to just constantly keep going. Again, as I've said many times, PvP is not my thing. I can appreciate some of the strategy required, and I like that. But yeah, cool. My hat's off to them, though. There's a certain amount of respect goes out to the tryhards and the sweats out there that do that. All right, this is a picture. This is a tactics article. It looks like a blood elf. Got a little sword. Looks like he's maybe wearing some mail. It's kind of buccaneerish, but here we have Sylvanas fighting off some horde behind her, or she's teamed up with them maybe. This is the World of War. Oh, this is an insert in the middle. This is a poster. I think you can pull this one out. Yeah, it's got her shooting Arthas. That's from the cover of this particular magazine. So this is an internal poster that you can unfold, but the other half of the article is called Line of Sight, a view to a kill. Managing line of sight is a key skill for all arena players, and the experts can show you how to use it to your advantage. Any player ever to brandish a blade, claw the eyes out of a murloc, or cast a spell at a raid boss understands the joys of PvE gameplay. But these thrills are mirrored in the glory of smiting a better geared opponent, as well as the agony of suffering a severe ganking at the hands of a slime-sucking rogue. Nowhere is the lure for PvP dominance stronger than in the arena, where teams must continually adapt to reign victorious in 2v2, 3v3, or 5v5 matches. In today's heavily populated arenas and seasonal arena tournaments, it's obvious that there's much more required for teams to win than simply knowing how to play their classes, or even expertly using their abilities. The Grand and Dalaran arena chat is filled with creative strategies employed to burn, bleed, trap, or mana drain your opponents into submission, and skilled players know you must always keep eyes on your competition in order to emerge a champion. To that end, Line of Sight, LOS, plays a crucial and sometimes overlooked role in arena victory that serious players can't ignore. But don't just take our word for it. I feel like any shooter really has to deal with that. We scoured realms far and wide across the United States, Canada, and Europe to find top arena players willing to share their secrets about the often misunderstood mechanic of Line of Sight. This is Nagrand's Ring of Trials. See those obstacles? That's where you use Line of Sight. Like, I guess, these things. On guard. When the gates open or the platform raises and combat begins, it's game on. And even though you might be tempted to run out and blindly throw the first stun, both teams must quickly situate themselves to establish line of sight for both the opponent and their teammates alike. The lines of vision between your partners or opponents can mean the difference between victory and utter defeat. If you can't be seen, you can't be hit by ranged attacks or healed by your teammates. So it's definitely a double-edged sword. With the fast pace of arena matches, keeping a bead on your team and the lines of sight is crucial. Supernatural, a Guatemalan arena stalwart on Ragnaros, LA, Latin America, suggests the best way to quickly determine LOS is to set your point of view out to the maximum range. This gives you more information in making tactical decisions. Line of sight corresponds to the chance that you will interact with players by way of positioning yourself within the arena, explains Thomas Zilio, aka Nelia, on Nerjul, Europe, a globally ranked 2v2 Blood Elf hunter from France. This positioning, or staging, plays out like a concert of lightning-fast actions that employs objects, distance, and movement to attack, defend, or heal during each match. Line of sight becomes the most important weapon. Nelia. There's a little picture of a orc and crosshair. And that's just the physical considerations. Throw in all the variables of class and compositions, whether you're facing a double melee team or a ranged melee team, and you begin to understand the complexities of positioning each teammate. Your team's LOS can put you at a distinct disadvantage if you run headlong into the open without regard for where your opponents are staged, says Massives, a top-ranked undead Death Knight on BlackRock US. When considering your opponents at the onset of a match, Hara of Nerjul EU, in real life Nicolas Gagneux, is currently ranked 6th overall in European 2v2, uses LOS to avoid control spells, mana burns, and death grips. As a healer, if I see an opponent positioned on the left of a post, I'll place my druid on the right and work to keep LOS on my team. But you always have to be careful because the aggressor may attempt to cross in front of your sight or have another teammate flank you. Often avoiding crowd control traps or slowing actions dictates your initial moves and positioning just as much as getting in the first fear. making defensive LOS moves just as important as offensive. By keeping obstructions between you and the vision of your aggressor, you break that line and provide time for valuable heals or to interrupt additional attacks. Fabian Zelia Sifredi killed Jaden US. That's the same guy from Team TSG who took home the global championship title in 3v3 with his Holy Paladin at this year's BlizzCon. Feels LOS is especially important when facing Rogue Mage Priest teams. Gaining defensive LOS will oftentimes mitigate damage, which is important during the first phases of these types of matches, he says. Teams tend to burn their big offensive cooldowns very quickly. We rely heavily on the cover provided within the arenas to stay alive through the initial phase of combat. Round hole, square peg. Regardless of how you approach combat, eventually all players are forced to contend with an obstruction and will have to utilize a LOS strategy. Canadian player Narathos from Kilrog US uses cover to gain advantage against casting classes to avoid various control spells. They can't stop what they can't see, he goes on to explain that effective healers should kite opponents around pillars while quick healing teammates between passes. See the sidebar. Casters also have the ability to pop out from hiding to briefly sight an opponent, drop a spell, and duck back behind cover, and that's just frightening. With the changes to the 3.2.2 update, the shape of some obstructions went from mostly circular to square. The post changes really hit players who relied on LOS damage because now it's easier to burn targets, notes Zelaya. This cut down a lot of surface area, fixing irritants where melee would be in a range to auto-attack while chasing somebody and not being able to use their abilities. For me, the change is a buff and will make pursuing targets behind posts much easier than before. When dealing with casters, LOS becomes the highest priority. My LOS becomes the most important weapon, says Nelia. I have to avoid all fear, sheep, and hex spells while breaking the line of sight of the casters. If I'm forced to blow my trinket to avoid an early control spell, my partner will take the full duration of the next crowd control and be left alone against the opponents. This becomes increasingly problematic with the update since straight edges will open LOS for these attacks. Traps can also wreak havoc on LOS. Those who know how to use LOS will kite teams to minimize or completely stop damage output, says Haral. They are especially deadly when one player knows how to intercept a trap that was intended for another. Let's look at this sidebar too. Line of sight. A dance among the ruins of Lordaeron in the Undercity. You'll find those stone slabs provide excellent cover from ranged attackers. Guessing they mean these, kind of. Pardon me, did you say pillar humping? Terms like kiting and pillar humping are familiar to many arena players. Kiting involves leading an opponent in a specific direction, where pillar humping refers to players circling an object to keep from taking damage. How do the experts see these techniques? They're cheesy, this is Ilea, to some, and necessary to win for others. Never run circles around pillars. Scrape the edges and hug the corners. If you round a corner, you risk increasing your LOS and may lose your advantage. Also, bind your mouse so you can turn immediately backwards should an opponent cut your forward kiting position off. Well, I haven't done that. I think there's a button you can do that, which does make you automatically 180, so you could bind that too, Key. I need to think about doing that just for play. A marriage of sorts. Never leave your pillar. Narathos. That's Kilrog, US Bone Jewer. That's Ball. Okay. Don't use your keyboard to turn. That is the worst possible thing to do with square pillars. Use your mouse to maintain angles and it will save you time. Alien or Jules, I pretty much do that. All clear. Line of sight is a valuable element at your disposal in the arena, but like anything else in the game, it certainly isn't everything. In fact, as Supernatural puts it, relying too heavily on LOS can be a waste of time since most people know how to break it. You have to burn your cooldowns, and it can be hard to keep an eye on one another. To this, we respectfully respond, seeing is believing. Okay, so they got some more tips on this. This is a heavy PvP section of the magazine we're in. The Arena Power Trio. Blade's Edge Mountains is one of them. The Circle of Blood. Keep LOS on your teammates to heal, green, while blocking your enemy's LOS, red, and retreating to heal, blue, when you're targeted. Pillar Hugging Heaven. 3 pillars at the top of each ramp, 4 along the bottom of the bridge, and 2 standalone pillars in the middle on the side of the bridge. The beauty of this arena is the sheer number of LOS points at the player's disposal. 2 ramps at opposing ends are connected by a long bridge with 2 pillars extending just away from the middle of the bridge. Many consider this map the most difficult with respect to LOS. Massives likes to control the bridge from the center of it. We exchange blows and try to overpower teams in the center while the healers LOS from the ramp's edge. Ball, a small team specialist from Bone Chewer US, rushes to the ramp and will seek to stay up top throughout the match. It is very difficult to control a battle from below the bridge, From an LOS perspective, he notes, the best part is being able to coordinate a jump off the side with your healer when you're in trouble, so you can recover quickly out of attacking LOS. Zelaya believes that this, among all other arenas, provides the biggest tool for escape by being able to drop off the bridge when things get hairy. Nagrand has the Ring of Trials. The Ring of Trials, with its 4 large equidistant pillars set in a large open arena, is often hailed as the best of the 5 current arenas. This arena is probably the most enjoyable because it offers great opportunities for defensive play due to the large size and ability to use the pillars to kite, heal, and break LOS, says Nelia. Narathos will periodically hide behind the pillars to break LOS from attackers, then quickly locate a secondary target to work on before reacquiring his original focus. As long as you're mindful of the distance and LOS of your target and you're throwing or receiving HOTS, this strategy works very well, he says. Because HOTS are mostly instants. Ring of Trials has the fewest gimmicks, reasons Zelaya. Generally speaking, priests and warlocks are easier to LOS with the update that came out in late 2009. Even with the large pillars, the square configuration allows for teams to target healers more often. The experts name their 3 favorite arenas and you can try their tactics. As a healer, this is the same color thing. This is where you run for healing. This is the heals. This is avoiding the LOS. You need to be aware of where both your teammates and enemies are at all times. Here, the druid has wandered out a little too far, exposing himself to the enemy's attacks and crowd control. 4 main pillars define the arena layout, but the edges of the map have nooks and sharp edges that you can also use to your advantage. Here, again, these are the spots you would heal from. There's no real... Oh, this is... You would run, I guess, from side to side to break the LOS from the DPS. Undercity, the ruins of Lordaeron. Remember, no matter what objects you're using to LOS enemy players, if you can see them, they can see you. The druid should shift to the left side of the gravestone to heal his teammate safely. Players can climb on top of the tombstone centerpiece, while the 3 large gravestones function exactly like pillars. 4 small alcoves give the edge of the arena extra strategic value. The arena has a sizable sarcophagus in the center and a small hillside littered with gravestones. Narathos calls it a 2-zone LOS arena. Try to be mindful of your healer's distance between you and the DPS. We like to hide in the starting zone, forcing teams to come to us, and then we'll push them out to the center with the healer peeling off to the graveyard for cover. Ball uses the tomb to block out LOS and to kite the enemy to the outer walls. We wait for pursuit and look for LOS to be cut off, or for the chasing player when he's out of healing range, and we burst him down while slowing the healer's movement. The use of traps also plays a role in the arena. That's actually what I was just thinking. I was like, sounds like a perfect one for traps. We like to rush the tomb and set traps down out of the enemy's LOS. Our healer will push to the top and kite them back down to the trap, said Massives. Tactics like this don't always work, according to Zelaya, explaining that teams often change focus, cross over the top of the tomb, and catch the kiting individual before this type of defensive measure is in place. Also, there's always just a little luck-based factor when it comes to traps. It just depends how good of an anticipator you are. All right, more community. Xenophanius, Stinky, Adarir of the Flying Daggers, Grimo. See, these look like cool different characters. Some somber heritage. Yeah, some Draenei. I don't know who these people are, but they're probably players. Wanted posters. Oh, I think these are things you can actually buy. You can make a poster, a wanted poster of your actual character in World of Warcraft. I think with alts being so crazy, these are custom prints. This is probably not as popular anymore, but they do actually look cool. Lots of people put posters of their heroes up on their walls, but only heroic prints lets World of Warcraft players do that, literally. BlizzCon 2009 featured a lot of stunning sights, but not the least of which was the diminutive booth for printwarcraft.com. I wonder if that still exists. Let's look it up. Right now, we're going to check it out. Let's just see. The domain name printwarcraft.com is for sale. You know what that means? It doesn't exist anymore. If they want to sell it. So somebody has bought it, too, because it says this is owned by some company that just flips Warcraft sites, though. You can't do it from that anymore. The print-on-demand service made its not-so-quiet debut at this year's Player Celebration, and attendees were among the first to get a frame-worthy World of Warcraft poster featuring the character they play, customized to their exacting taste. Yeah, so they must have gone out of business so hard that the site became defunct and then they're like, let's just take whatever, a couple $100, a couple thousand maybe, that they can get for owning the site. Probably more like a couple hundred. And attendees were among the first to get the frame-worthy World of Warcraft poster featuring the character they play, customized to their exacting tastes, and nobody looked unhappy to wait for the unique honor of being among the service's first patrons. The team behind Heroic Prints and by proxy printwarcraft.com allows any World of Warcraft player to create their own customized print of any character on any realm and in any form based on information drawn directly from the World of Warcraft armory. These aren't just any posters, they're you. I wonder if you could go to World of Warcraft Armory and still kind of print based on that. Once we realized that players were spending hundreds of days with these characters, getting so invested in them, why wouldn't they want something personal to commemorate it, says Matt Hoffman, Heroic Print's chief operating officer and an avid player of World of Warcraft since its alpha test in 2003. Let's see if Heroic Prints still exists. Because maybe this is part of something else. There's Heroic Art for sale, but not on Etsy. Heroic Art Prints, yeah, so not the same. It's just you don't really see that anymore. Our products are a testament to the players themselves, to the time they've spent, and it gives them a way to take a direct piece of their energy and their passion for this game and put it on their wall. I mean, it's a cool idea. I just think this is too easy to homebrew this kind of stuff nowadays. You could go to like an Etsy or you could make a cool picture on your own. Yeah, it's just not that. It's too easy to do this kind of thing now. There's too much materials for people. I got a blurry page here. Every now and then, since I'm uploading this myself, depending on my hand when I'm scanning or the lighting, it's been very, very overcast the past week or so, and it makes scanning in some of these pictures really hard. The actual rendering process can create models of an unlimited size. Heroic history. Heroic Prints started out as a level 1 idea in early 2008 as a way to merge print-on-demand services with the fan passion of World of Warcraft. When customized posters came up as a potential opportunity, the launch of Heroic Prints, the company, soon followed. I wanted posters because I played the game, said Hoffman, who estimates that he spent around 3 days a week raiding since World of Warcraft's launch. I had some idea of what people would want because of the sort of things I like myself. I had discussions with my guildmates informally about exactly telling them what I had in mind, asking them, what do you think about X or Y? So I got feedback from people that I knew who played the game as well. Heroic Prints contacted Blizzard and set up a meeting to showcase samples of sorry, that threw my reading off. Of Print Warcraft's user interface and poster concepts. And when it came to the approval process, the samples had to say a lot. Everyone in the company has to think it's cool, basically, and feel they would want them themselves, says Hoffman. Apparently, cool factor was not an issue. Heroic Prints got the go-ahead. Fully licensed, license in hand, the company then solved an interesting software puzzle behind Print Warcraft's customizable posters, integration with World of Warcraft's existing character databases to generate the necessary production art elements. Throw a character into Print Warcraft's poster building application and the site extracts character information right out of the armory. From the character's latest armor set, down to the face, skin tone, and hairstyle. With this backpack full of data, Heroic Prints can then go into the game files and extract the 3D models and texture maps for both its lower-res online poster building utility and the high-quality final print. I wonder, this seems like it's rife for, like, data theft, and I wonder if the company got into trouble, or if the vulnerability was not worth the cost anymore, and they, like, lost their contract with Blizzard. Creating a print requires a number of different art assets, including final 3D renders of the actual game elements in thousands of pixels. The printer Heroic Prints uses to create the posters is currently limited in the size of the physical print it can construct, but don't give up your dreams for billboard-sized goblin artwork. The actual rendering process can create models of an unlimited size, which future-proofs potential buffs for physical poster sizes. Building the perfect print. Since printwarcraft.com uses the armory as the basis for its posters, creating a new piece of work on Heroic Print's Builder web application does come with a few restrictions. For instance, you're limited to whatever your character happens to be wearing at the time. If you want to swap out your fishing pole for your Warglive of Azzinoth, you'll have to log in and make the switch in-game. However, you can still bring along your sentient accessories. Hunters and warlocks can pose alongside their faithful companions. It says how to make a hero, they kind of have a picture of the process. You start with the basics, strike a pose. Choose from 30 predetermined looks for your character, from friendly and mellow to ready for action. The foreground button offers 17 different icons representing various factions and races. Make it as big as you like, and you could scale any element up or down, so you already have to design the poster yourself. Where do you want to be immortalized today? You'll get to pick from 196 different artwork selections and in-game environments for your background. When you select a character as the basis for your print, which can be any character on any realm, so you can pretty easily make one for a friend as a gift, you're given a series of pre-configured looks that you can use as the inspiration for your final poster. If you don't like any of the templates, you can put your poster together piecemeal using the numerous options found in the Builder tool. This almost feels like an advertisement, rather than like something I care about reading. But we're gonna keep reading. The first screen you'll interact with is the character screen, screen 1 in the How to Make a Hero sidebar below, which offers 30 poses for your character. It's here where you'll load in any warlock or hunter pets, as well as toggle your helmet, cloak, tabard, and glowing armor weaponry on and off. You can scale art assets to any size you want, even if these lower resolution proxies look a little scruffy in the preview window. They're printed full quality on your final poster. Like Photoshop, this feature allows you to select the order in which images appear, analogous to what you would do if you're making World of Warcraft sandwich. When you click on the foreground button, 2, you're given a list of 17 different icons that you can add to your image, including emblems for factions and races. As before, you can layer and scale these however you desire. Currently, Heroic Print offers 196 different artwork selections and in-game environments for use as a background. 3, with new additions on the way, you can select various options like a character's name, realm, and guide to appear anywhere you want in the poster, amongst other choices. This is step 4. Show your guild pride by letting your character's name, realm, and affiliation on your poster. You can place it wherever you like. Once you've added a Blizzard-themed logo, 5, and or an optional border, you can save your template for future tweaking, or you can email your idea to your guildmates or friends for third-party input. That finishes off these parts. Next, add borders and logos to complement your design or represent the core game or one of its expansions. All done. Maybe you'd like to sleep on it, or in a second set of eyes on your finished design, save your template for future use, and email it to a guildmate. One neat element of the site is that it's not dynamically connected to the armory, in the sense that your posters need to always reflect the current look of a character. In other words, if you want to create a poster draft every 10 levels during your World of Warcraft progression, the site will save your art without automatically updating the character to its most current incarnation. The actual printing process for the posters takes up to 2 business days to complete, and you can select the following sizes in both portrait landscape modes: 12 by 18, 24 by 36, 27 by 40. Yeah, I feel like I need to get like some ad money from this defunct website. Heroic Prints officially launched printwarcraft.com in early November in both North America and Europe. Hoffman notes that Heroic Prints uses local vendors for its international markets to keep prices and shipping times relatively equal across the board. I'm guessing that would mean like a printing company like a Kinko's. Finishing the quest. Actually, when's the last time you've even seen a Kinko's? At BlizzCon 2009, the attendees lined up to be the first to use printwarcraft.com. If they didn't like what they saw, Hoffman and his team would hear about it in person, as players created poster after poster in Heroic Print's 10-foot by 10-foot booth throughout the entire duration of BlizzCon. A similar feature request kept returning to the table: the ability to place multiple characters into one poster, akin to a raiding party school portrait. That's cool. That feature is currently on deck. Heroic Print plans to roll out increased guild-themed functionality and multi-character support in a future iteration of its Builder application. For Heroic Prints, the company's first BlizzCon outing felt like a validation for the concept of custom posters on demand, and visible proof that World of Warcraft players put a lot of thought and pride into their virtual alter egos. And as Hoffman found out, the power of customization is sometimes surprising. People were making things that, to me, he pauses and smiles, looking at a polite way to put it, I looked at their screen and thought, that looks kind of weird. Or simply acknowledged I would have done something differently, but then I asked them if they're happy with it, and they said, yes, this is exactly what I want. That floored me for a second, because I realized that you can't judge in general whether or not something looks better or worse. The whole point, he says, is that it's theirs. All right, so I think this is probably stopping for us. This is an advice column we're going to get into next. It looks to be about inscription, which at this point in time was a fairly new profession. It had only been out for a little bit, about a year or so. That is gross, that little horn this guy has pierced through his head. Disgusting. All right, thank you, everyone. We have another episode in the pipe, 5x5. Yeah, I appreciate you for watching and listening. This magazine seems to have a lot for everyone. If this one wasn't your cup of tea between commercial and PvP, you're not alone. Not my favorite article, but it's still cool to see the art, to see how the players were honored, and to see this little bit of Warcraft history. See you guys on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft. Peace, baby!